Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, today we are going to do a gear review. This is a Legator. Legator? Legolas? This is a Legolas Ninja 300 Fanfret model. So first let's go over the specs of this instrument. Here we have a neck through body construction with what looks to be a 5-piece maple and walnut neck. On top of that walnut neck is an ebony board with 24 nickel frets. On the sides of that neck we have mahogany body wings topped with a burl top, which looks very, very cool. Comes with Legator, Legolas locking tuners. One of the things that's cool about this is that this was part of the introductory run of their new Fanfret line. So as a result, they have upgraded Seymour Duncan blackout pickups and brass saddles added to the bridge. Also, the scale lengths on this instrument are a very nice 25.5 inches on the treble side to 27 inches on the bass side. So as far as how this instrument plays, that is one of the best pros about this instrument. I mean, the finish on it is super smooth. It's a really, really nice satin finish. The masking is actually pretty good too on the back of the heel here. The neck is a really, really nice, comfortable C shape, but it's not a deep C shape like a Les Paul or anything like that. It's just deep enough to where if you've got like large hands, it's not super uncomfortable like an Ibanez neck or a Jackson Dinky neck would be for someone with large hands. The scale lengths are very, very nice. The tension is nice and even across the board. If you want to down tune this thing, since it's got a 27-inch scale on the bass side, it really takes drop tunings really nicely. But that 25.5-inch scale on the upper strings just tends to still allow for some really comfortable soloing like you're used to on a typical scale length 6-string.
Some of the things that I thought are actually worth pointing out that are really worth admiring on this guitar, there's some nice thought went into this as far as comfort and playability. It's balanced really nicely. The edges of this are just arched slightly, so when you're playing for a while, on like older Schechters, I noticed, especially when they have binding, like you can feel a bit of digging in your hand, and this is nice and rounded. There's just some nice ergonomic touches.
Some good contours.
Yeah, the volume knob is easily accessible, but it's not in the way of your playing, which is big for metal players, where we end up kind of ripping the volume knob out and just moving it over to where the tone is, because who needs a tone knob? But there's one on here, in case you feel like using one of those at some point. I mean that's really nice. These are nice touches. The upper fret access is excellent. It's really comfortable. The neck is really smooth. It's a nice laminate on the back, to where, you know, if you're a gloss player, you could feel comfortable with this. If you're a satin player, it's nice as well. I think I'd have a hard time finding somebody who picked this up and said that, oh, I don't like that neck. It's pretty great in that regard.
Agreed. One of the other things that's cool too is that, you know, a lot of us, we've got experience with Seymour Duncan blackouts at this point, and so that is a really, really nice touch in a mahogany-bodied and maple neck guitar. You just get a really nice frequency response from those, and it just sounds really, really good. I would say it definitely sounds better than EMG's, that's for sure. So, and for sure it probably sounds better than the stock Legator pickups that are coming with this thing now, so it's a good upgrade. My 2 cents.
Agreed. It sounds great.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so before we get into the customer service nightmare that was the experience of ordering this instrument, let's talk about the defects that are on this guitar. So, Chad, what are some things that you would point out on your guitar?
I think that stuff that jumps out on here, and you jump to this first, and it's something that we both hammer on when we talk about guitars, are bad fret ends. I would be okay with, if I had to choose, I would be okay with bad fret ends but a clean fretboard, or a fretboard that had some tool marks on it but the frets were crowned beautifully. I would probably be okay with one or the other.
I would agree.
You know,
like I've got a custom instrument. You know, some of you guys have seen my videos with the Hoppus. You know, there are some tool marks on the fretboard of the Hoppus, but we're talking about fretwork that is exceptional on that thing.
That's a great instrument.
Yeah, there's no rough fret ends whatsoever. The crowning is great. So whatever, that's acceptable because the playability is not suffering because of it. But this thing, you know, this thing's kind of got both, actually. I mean, we've got the rough fret edges, especially along this little section of the fretboard right here.
Which we'll show.
But then we've also got a fair amount of tool marks on the upper frets here, even to the point where there's actually like a gouge missing out of the fretboard right here. Like you can literally get your finger caught on it if you were trying to get your finger or your pick caught on it. What are some other things that you would call out? Kind of the rough pickup routing, maybe?
Yeah, it's not the cleanest pickup routing. I mean, these aren't things that affect playability per se, but it's just anybody who eyeballs a production guitar or something that's hand finished, you're going to find some things that are not perfect. We totally understand that. But these are things to where, I mean, this is 8 inches away from me right now, and I can see that the pickup routes are jagged.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is that a huge deal? No, not really, but it's something that's just kind of a bummer when, you know, I've took that guitar out in 10 seconds after I opened the box. I mean, that stuff is very apparent, and I'm sure you'd agree.
Yeah. I mean, we've got some gouges in here. We've got literally a chunk missing from the pickup route right there. Even on the switch, there's some roughness to this routing as well.
And speaking of the switch, one of the things that bothers me, you know, it's a decent enough quality switch. One of the things that I don't understand, and I picked up every guitar that I have that has a 3-way switch like this, if you're going to use a Phillips screw to mount on the guitar, you need to do one of 2 things. You either need to recess the screws into there, or you need to use a screw, if you're going to flat mount it to the top of the guitar, that sits flush against the body. This is something to where neither of these screws are drilled perfectly into the body, so if you try to do some quick switching, it will catch on those screws, and that doesn't feel good when you're up on stage. The last thing you want to do is go to flip, after you're done with a solo, go to flip it back to the bridge pickup and scuff up your hand on stage.
Exactly. And I mean, you can make the argument of, well, this thing is meant to be a workhorse. You don't necessarily need for it to be 100% perfect like that. And in the heat of the moment when you're on stage, whatever, it's not even going to affect it so much. But what if it's something that, you know, you've taken notice of before? What if it's something where you're in the heat of like a recording session and that kind of throws you off even for just a split second?
A lot of the things that we're talking about are not necessarily things that affect tone or playability. I mean, I call these things quality of life features on a guitar. It's just things to where none of these on their own really hinder your ability to play the guitar or enjoy it. But there's a lot of little things on this that we're going to point out that just really stack up and affect my ability to enjoy this, and I know it affects yours as you were playing it for the last couple days.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate because this thing plays and sounds fantastic. It really does, and we will never take away from the playability of this instrument. But there's so many QC issues with this that it takes away from the enjoyment of it. Some other things we'd call out about this, truthfully, like, and there again, doesn't affect the playability, doesn't affect the tone, but does it affect our perception of whether or not Legator is a legitimate brand that can compete with the bigger names? Yeah, this is definitely something that could probably, sour our impression of the brand. Taking a look at the nut here, the nut slot has some gouges in it. There's one gouge here that wasn't bothered to be filled in or repaired or painted over or anything like that. There's a sizable gap both in front of and behind the nut, big enough that you can catch like a fingernail in. And I don't know about you, but I've never seen that before on a guitar. Usually the nut is mounted flush, not just to the neck itself, but to the edge of the fretboard, so there is no fucking gap in there. The fact that there is one, that's something you typically see on someone's piece of shit Warmouth build, to be perfectly frank.
And gaps are weird because the next thing we'll point out are there were definitely other things that they took plenty of time to fill in on this guitar, even though they probably shouldn't have.
Exactly.
On the lower horn, there's a nice, I would say, 1/8 of an inch diameter hole, clearly filled in with epoxy, and I'm pretty sure that they're not doing any finishes there because the finish on that hole is a completely different hue of blue than exists on the rest of the guitar, front or back.
Mm-hmm.
The one that is inexcusable, and I would only expect to see something like this on a dirt cheap Agile, and even then, I think Kurt from Agile would be fine with this guitar being sent back, and they would refund your money immediately. There's a nice big spot on the back. I would say this is probably
There's a few.
The big one, though,
Yeah.
is probably somewhere between 1/4 and 1/2 an inch wide of a nice chunk taken out that they filled with epoxy and a nice laminate over. You can't feel it, but oh boy, will you see it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple other spots. It looks like somewhere around, we're thinking this is where the walnut meets the maple, that some chunks were kind of ripped out because it looks a lot lighter than that walnut does.
Yeah.
So what would kind of be 2-3 little spots they filled in with epoxy as well on a 5-piece neck.
Yeah. I mean, if it weren't for the fact that there is a significant grain difference between the walnut and the maple, you would almost think that maybe some wood was dyed and just used in there in place of the walnut. But the fact that the grain difference is so definite in there, you can tell that it's just more instances where there were gouges in there, where there were little spots where things didn't line up or maybe were not sanded down properly in the first place, so they just filled it in with fucking epoxy.
Yeah. Other things on here that jump out, I ripped this guitar open. The way that they actually secure the 9-volt in there is they just took some cheap foam. If you've ever purchased pickups, the foam that just comes in there to secure the pickups and shipping. They just took some of that and just wrapped it around the 9-volt. That's what's holding the battery in place. That's not a great thing for me. Even worse, and I wish I had a picture of Arnold's face when I told him this, I took the pickups out, and what they're actually using to boost the pickups up so that you can adjust them up and down is that exact same foam that they, again, just rolled up like toilet paper, shoved in there, and then screwed the pickup in on top. So no high-density foam with adhesive, no springs, just cheap shipping foam that they're using to boost pickups up.
And I mean, there's nothing wrong with using foam to boost the pickups up because we've seen that in a lot of guitars, especially guitars that have active pickups. But you don't use the cheap, flimsy packing foam. You use something that's got a little bit more heft to it. It's a little bit sturdier, something that you can screw into if you need to. This is just like super spongy, super bouncy. it almost makes no sense why they decided to put this thing in instead of an actual spring.
It's not something that I would expect will hold up over time. Like a nice high-density foam, if I want to keep my pickups drilled all the way down for 5 years and then decide I'm going to lift them up a half an inch, with a high-density foam, you can do that.
Exactly.
It will support lifting the pickups up. This stuff is basically started to shred as soon as I took it out, and I'm quite sure from being compressed for just a couple weeks, if I go to raise my pickups, I'll bet they won't come up.
Mm-hmm. So for this section, we are so enervated, so aggravated, that we had to bring in a puppy just to make us feel happy, even for just a split second, before we go into all the assorted bullshit.
Agreed.
So everybody, this is Dahlia.
The Block Dahlia.
So now we're going to talk about the overall experience with the brand, with purchasing this instrument, having it delivered, and then going over the QC issues, and then sending it back and having it delivered a second time. Or it wasn't even the same guitar, right?
No,
yeah.
Totally different guitar.
And still fucked up.
So we'll start at the beginning. I was skeptical of this brand for a while. Arnold went to NAMM, and he actually said, you know what? What I'm most impressed with being here are the Legator guitars. So
I wouldn't say the most impressed, but I would say definitely the most improved.
In terms of expectation versus what you came across.
Yeah.
Because I know what the swing was the other way.
Yeah, because the last 2 years before this one that I went to NAMM, I wasn't impressed with Legator at all. Like, I thought, okay, these are decent, and for around like maybe the $500-600 price range, they're not bad, but these are not a super high quality stage worthy instrument. But then after playing some of the Fanfret models and after talking with one of the people that works there and getting a real sense of, oh my god, they really care about what I, the general public, have to say about the instrument and what features I want and what new products I want offered in the future, I thought, hey, this is a sound investment. I gotta tell everybody about this, which I did. And
I've been looking for a Fanfret 6-string for a while. In my old band, we're playing Tech Death on 6 strings. I have little baby hands, so I thought, Fanfret on a 6-string would be great. We tuned down to drop B flat, so this seemed like a great guitar. So it was end of January in 2016 that I had inquired about the run, because I knew it was coming, because you had told me about it. And I got a hold of a great guy there who was really nice to email back and forth with, really good customer service, answering questions. And I said, you know what, I'm going to put down the money. So this was February 9th, put down the money, and they said, middle of April, these are going to be delivered. I was excited. You put half down, do the other half when the guitar was ready to ship. April rolled around, I started to email them back and forth. No response from the guy that I was working with. I figured that's all right. I know they had built up a bunch of momentum. They were doing a bunch of stuff on social media, bringing in some really great artists like Mike Gianelli. Another reason we were really excited about this brand, because Mike is awesome, and I respect the stuff that he plays because he's an exceptional guitarist out here in California.
That was one of the things that got me really excited, is because just talking back and forth, it sounded like part of this Fanfret run was going to be that there was going to be a Fanfret 9-string, and I wanted another low-cost option as opposed to Agile, which can be spotty at best. I wanted something that played and sounded incredible, which that was my experience at NAMM. So imagine my surprise when that never even materialized, even though it kept popping up on all in like the Fanfret group that was on Facebook, talking with some people who were high up in the company. Oh yeah, it's coming, this is what we're going to do. Yeah, those features, and then it never materialized. But back to your guitar though.
So let's fast forward to May 19th, so we're an entire month past when they said the guitar was going to be ready. I get a Facebook message, not an email, I get a Facebook message from somebody very high up in the company saying that my guitar is going to be ready soon, and they wanted to know if I would be interested in getting a free upgraded brass saddles, and I said, absolutely. That's for free? Sure.
Okay, cool. Going great so far.
I've done big brass upgrades on Floyd's before. I liked how that sounded, so I'd never tried it on like a Hipshot style bridge before, so that sounded great. I'm excited. And they said the guitar would be ready very soon, so they were going to go ahead and invoice me. and they invoiced me for the entire amount of the guitar instead of just the 50% that I owed, and I had to correct them on that. It was some weird QuickBooks invoice that clearly somebody just drew up on the spot instead of kind of a nice official invoice on letterhead. But you know what? Whatever. I got them the money after we kind of corrected what I owed with shipping and everything in California tax. And they said, you know what? Within 2-3 days, guitar will be shipped out. Let's fast forward to June 6th, not 2 days later. I had asked about what's going on, and they were like, oh, it's shipping today. So, maybe coincidence. Just as I asked, it's ready to ship. And then I got an email from the tech who was working on it saying, oh, there's a little bit of fret buzz, so what I want to do is I want to go in and recrown the entire guitar. Okay, that's fine. I'm good with that. I like nice
perfect.
frets on a guitar.
Awesome.
I like the QC. I like the attention to detail. I get that guitar in 2 days later because I'm in California, like the company is, so I got here quickly, opened it up, and my heart just sank. So the guitar that we're actually demoing here is the second guitar that they shipped me. The first had things like really nasty finish options. It looked like somebody had drugged this thing through sand. It actually had either a melted neck pickup or epoxy on the neck pickup. We're not exactly sure. Somebody high up at the company was more than happy to blame Seymour Duncan for that. I've never seen a bad pickup come from Seymour Duncan.
Nope.
Worse fretwork and tool marks on the first guitar than showed up on the second. I didn't see any epoxy on the neck, so that was actually a little bit better on the first guitar. And the thing that hurt the absolute most on the first guitar is I opened up the control cavity, and almost all of the solder joints were incredibly sloppy, but even worse, all of the wiring and shielding is actually burned. So a clear mark of somebody, I went to school for electronics, I fixed safety electronics for a long time. It's jarring how bad the electronics work inside this guitar were. It's not something that could hold up over a long time. So what I did immediately is I called the number for the company, got somebody on the phone, can't remember his name, what he said somebody very happy at the company is going to give you a call back, we'll take care of you. I've purchased a lot of guitars, as has Arnold. I don't expect every single guitar that I get in to be perfect every time. That's just not realistic. I do expect when an issue is pointed out, you're going to reassure your customer, acknowledge the problem, and then address it, and you got to follow through and communicate effectively throughout that process. So when somebody tells me somebody very high up at the company is going to call me, I expect a phone call. Maybe not, right away. I understand they have a lot of other customers to take care of, but I do expect a phone call. I didn't get a phone call. I got a Facebook message saying, is there a problem with your guitar? Well, yeah, I called in and said that there was a problem with the guitar. Luckily, I had the foresight to photograph all of these things and put all the stuff on Dropbox, sent it to the guy high up at the company, and he didn't open it. He said, you know what, here's our FedEx number, send the guitar back, we'll take care of you. He apologized. I mentioned one other comment that, there was supposed to be a t-shirt in there or something, and it wasn't in the box, and he apologized, and he's like, you know what, we'll take care of it. And that's all fine. So, took it right down to FedEx.
You never did get your t-shirt, did you?
I got it this time.
Oh, you did get it this time. Okay.
Not what I asked for, but I got a t-shirt.
All right, okay. A t-shirt to take care of a crappy guitar.
Yeah, it's basically the same. I like a $1,200 t-shirt.
Right.
So, sent it back. So, first guitar got back. They said, you know what, we'll take care of it. We'll look at the issues. We'll figure out if it's something that we can fix. And if we need to grab you another guitar and get that set up to go, that's what we'll do.
Tell them what happened when they took a look at the issues.
Well, they took a look at the guitar, and the first thing that somebody very high up at the company said was, I damaged the guitar sending it back because I didn't wrap it in the foam that they sent when they sent it. The problem with me doing that is that they taped around all the foam, so unless I sat there and meticulously cut all of the packing tape on the foam to unwrap the guitar, you have to tear the foam to get it out. And I didn't think there was any use in including that. This is a double-boxed guitar. So there's a guitar-shaped box, and then it goes into a regular rectangular box, and there's packing material in there. All of that went back. I've shipped guitars all over the world. I didn't cause any damage with that. After I explained that to the guy that I couldn't use that, he said, okay, we'll take care of you, apologized, and said, you know what, within the week, 2 weeks, we'll have another guitar shipped out. Great. This is the middle of June. Halfway through July, I keep asking, hey, where's the guitar? Well, we're a little held up. We're waiting on pickups. Okay, wait another week. Well, okay.
Hold on, I'm going to stop you there. How the fuck do you get held up on pickups when you're dealing with Seymour Duncan?
Well, I don't know if you know this. To order any Seymour Duncan pickup, there's a 4 to 6 week lead time. That's what I was told.
Well, okay, but they can't figure something out for something that's so popular like Blackouts?
I mean,
surely they have stuff
they're a rare pickup.
Yeah.
They're a rare pickup.
No, they're extremely rare. Oh my god, you never see Seymour Duncan Blackouts on anything.
But that's what I was told. So, finally, last week, I had finally pushed again, and magically when I asked, they're like, oh, it's going to ship today. Well, it didn't ship that day. This was last Wednesday. They missed the FedEx pickup, so it went out on Thursday. I got it. The guitar that I got is everything that you've seen
in the video.
In the video, with the pictures supplied. The thing that jumped out immediately is the first guitar came with, it was kind of a nice, soft gig bag.
Mm-hmm. I saw that gig bag. It was cool.
It's well fitted.
It wasn't anything like a mono case or anything or a groove gear, but I mean, it was high quality.
A nice thing to have included. I like a nice soft case to go with my guitars because, we bounce back and forth between each other's places.
Yeah.
We do things. It's convenient, and I feel like it keeps the guitar in relatively safe condition for just light back and forth. That wasn't in the box this time. The first time it was actually kind of used as packing material. It wasn't in there. So I let that go at first. The t-shirt was in there this time, so we got a t-shirt. It's a medium. I'm 5'5", 130 pounds. I can't wear a medium. I asked for a small. I didn't get it. You can't wear a medium either, so this shirt is good for nobody.
What are you saying?
You know what I'm saying.
Fucker.
Got the guitar in, found some issues, messaged the same guy at Legator that's very high up, and said, hey, I didn't get the gig bag. Wasn't that supposed to be in here? And as I started to look at the issues, especially with the epoxy on the back of the neck, on a 5-piece neck, it's where the woods are meeting. I didn't feel like that was necessarily structurally sound, so I looked at it and just decided, you know what, I think the best thing is I want to send the guitar back, and I want to get a refund, which I looked at their page, there's nothing there. I wasn't outside of something they consider an RMA or a DOA or something that I could just get a refund on. I got a response back, and it was immediately just, no, there's no respect for what we're doing or for me, and I didn't understand that, and we're going to show some of the conversation back and forth with names redacted. I went out of my way to give them a chance to fix the issue. I understand, especially in manufacturing, you're not going to knock it out of the park every single time.
Yeah, we're not doing the typical retail store, can I speak to the manager bullshit, where it's like, okay, this is the issue, I want it fixed my fucking way right now, or I'm going to go on Yelp or something. We gave these people plenty of chances. We really did.
There was a bit of a blow up, we'll show a little bit of that, and I just said, I'm not sure you understand what respect means. You claim that you sent me a gig bag the second time, or you sent it the first time, but I sent that back with the guitar. It was just a weird vibe, and I didn't feel like it was worth going back and forth, so I just said, I have all the pictures saying that I sent the first guitar back correctly, where you were claiming that I damaged it. I have evidence that it showed up the way that it did, and it just evolved into kind of an argument, which, as somebody who deals in customer service and takes care of people, that should never happen.
Exactly.
It was very antagonistic, and I appreciate good customer service, and it's in the guitar industry we don't always get good customer service, but this was reprehensible customer service.
Terrible.
So it took a little bit of back and forth until it was just very clear capitulation that just send the guitar back, and that was the end of the conversation. So we decided we were going to do this. The guitar's going to go back. I'm not exactly certain whether I'm going to get my money back or not. And
better.
I might not. I would like to get my money back. This is certainly not an expensive guitar for me. I mean, we have some nice expensive other stuff.
Oh, speaking of expensive guitar, what did the dude say to you? Said something along the lines of,
yeah. So,
you're acting like this should be a $2,000 custom guitar. Number one, let's be honest here. Where do you see a full custom guitar for $2,000 outside of Kiesel? Which, by the way, let's be honest, you just got a Kiesel.
I did.
And that thing is fucking sick with not a single issue on it, am I right?
That guitar is immaculate.
Yeah. This dude at Legator is talking about like, oh, you're expecting a $2,000 custom instrument. These things run about $1,400 to begin with, which is not exactly a low-end instrument.
They're about $1,400 on the website without the brass saddles and without the Seymour Duncan pickups.
Yeah.
So you get standard saddles and you get their
proprietary
whatever
pickups
that I don't think anybody's ever going to buy because they sound great. Everybody's going to swap those pickups out. So you're going to have to invest more money when you get one of their guitars off the site. Mm-hmm. So being told that I should expect a bit of handcraft on a guitar in that price range doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because you and I have both seen, regardless of price, some exceptional Luthers out there.
Yeah. I mean, well, and here's the other thing. Like, the dude's talking about, like, oh, a $2,000 custom shop instrument is what you expect. And then he's, on the flip side, saying, like, oh, the reason why this costs so much, or you should expect a little bit of, you know, kind of handcraftedness to it, or, like, the little slight tool marks or defects because it's been touched by so many people who are working on this by hand. So, I mean, which one is it? Is it something where, you know, we're paying for a $1,400 instrument that has handcrafted elements to it and we shouldn't expect it to be perfect? Or are we the bad guys for expecting an instrument that is like a $2,000 custom instrument that's handcrafted? You know, which one is it? Are we... It's like this guy's riding both sides of the line here. Is it that the handcrafted is a good thing, or is it that the handcrafted is a bad thing? It seems like this dude's confused even when he's describing his own company's guitars.
I don't think he quite understands. I mean, we're very aware of what it looks like to get an imported production guitar that has hand-done QC that comes out great.
No endorsement.
No endorsement. But we're both very impressed with this particular guitar. Without saying names, you can look at it. It came out stellar. It feels exceptional. And I'm absolutely willing to give this company more of my money than I would ever consider doing for Legator again.
Yeah.
They'll never get another dime from me.
Exactly. No, fuck it. Like, you were mentioning earlier, like, at best, maybe if a used one pops up, you might pick one up for like $600 or something. But as it stands right now, is this thing worth $1,400? Fuck no. All right? With all the QC issues and with the handling of the QC issues, I mean, they can't even admit that there was a fucking problem. There was a lot of fucking problems on this instrument, and they can't even own up to it and own up to the fact that, hey, this is my company. I should take care of my customer who spends his hard-earned fucking money on this. I mean, just fix the guitar or send one that is in tip-top shape or refund the money without any bitching about it. Just take care of your customer. That's the bottom line.
It's really what it takes.
It doesn't matter what industry you're in. It doesn't matter what you're building, what you're making for the customer. You take care of them. Because what you want is you want someone who is so impressed by your product that they tell all their friends about it, and maybe they might even buy a second one, maybe a third one down the road. Maybe the people that they tell might buy one. But as it stands right now, no, the hell with this company. They're not getting any money from me. They're getting any more money from you?
No.
Nope. So, there you go. There you have it. That's what we think about this guitar. Here again, so depressed that we have to have a puppy involved. This is Miss Lily. Lily, you take care of your owners. You take care of your family. Not like Legator. Not at all. Not at all. Anyways, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. We would love to post more videos for you, more unbiased gear reviews. If you have any suggestions, if you have any comments, leave them in the comment section below. Hey, Ray William Johnson. Okay. Yeah, I just fucking went there. So, But, okay, go see Mom.
Bye, Lily.
But, no. Please let us know if there's anything more you would like to see, anything more you would like to hear. If you have any questions about the Legator, if you would like even more specifics, hey, let us know. We'll be happy to tell you all about it.
Thanks, guys.
Toodles. And own up to the fact that, hey, this is my company. I should take care of my customer who spent his hard-earned... edit.
Good. Good. I was just...